Cause nobody's on.
Nobody's microphone's on to catch any sound and telling us that the sound is low.
Hi, Danny, can you hear us? Yeah, but we can't hear you yet.
He's muted.
Hey there, I can hear you.
Oh, thanks. We'll call on you in a minute when we're to that point.
It's
I didn't do
not
it.
us.
IT did it. IT put those passwords in there. They don't want anybody to, not pay attention to meetings.
Yeah.
By scrolling through their phones. I don't know about Mike Soban. For some reason. I don't remember.
John, can you not just take the email that you sent out to you and then download it?
Yeah, I did that before I got there. Yeah, I. We want to try to back to vice chair.
That's not on the agenda. I can put it on the agenda. I think it has to be on the agenda to vote on it. So I can put it on the agenda in January. Mhm. I don't know Mike Soban's phone number, maybe.
Up the mountain good, chief. Up the mountain good. There ain't a lot of terrain over there. No. You're no different than anywhere else. Look at the ski country website, nobody's over. Right, yeah, maybe after this weekend.
Yeah, that's what Michael said. $24 inches.
People can 40.
What it said, it has a long ways to go before it's over.
Well, like I said, it's. Right. Not even part of it? No, we're not.
Pack some of it down, but it's all. Oh, Van Lake, South Bush, the Nordic side.
Assuming you got the same amount I got my time.
Yeah, it was a good snow, but,
I don't know.
well, the wind came afterwards.
Yeah.
We're supposed to get 75 miles.
Well, the crazy thing is on Sunday, let's see, but Sunday was a blistering western. Monday was a blistering eastern. But it didn't bring the snow fast.
That's why that,
It's really scary.
and that kayaker flipped, I think, because of that.
It's almost totally open on Grand Lake. I see snowmobile tracks out.
I know, I
right
have a
now
tickle.
at my house. But I'll tell you what, I would do that.
All right, I don't know where Mike Soban is, so I guess we'll start. Yeah. Mhm.
All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Roll call shows everyone but Mike Soban present. Consideration to approve the meeting minutes from 11/15/23.
Oh, yeah, do you want to excuse Mike, or do you want to?
We might wait a few minutes, maybe. You wanna- wait 5-10 minutes and then
Sure,
decide
we can come-
whether we're gonna do anything with Michael.
We can come back to that.
Okay.
All right, so has everyone had a chance to read the meeting minutes from 11:15?
I'll second that.
Okay, you got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Unscheduled citizen participation. Is there anybody? There's nobody in the audience. Is there anybody online to talk about something not on the agenda? No?
No,
So no, that's our.
or applicant.
Okay. So we'll move on to conflicts of interest. Does anybody have a conflict with the one item of business tonight?
No conflict.
No conflicts, Reagan.
Right.
Oh, you guys need to turn your mics on. I just couldn't.
Sorry, no, no.
Yeah, so when they, yeah. Wait. There we go. You can have
I
that one
think-
facing you.
I think that the mic
Or here.
over here. is-
Yep.
Yeah.
So for you.
Thank you, guys.
They only pick up when they're like right in front of your mouth. So I'm sorry.
All right, so the next, the one and only item of business is consideration of a planning commission resolution 11/2023. Resolution to approve a lot consolidation of lots 12 and 13, block 37, town of Grand Lake, more commonly referred to as 213 and 217 Grand Avenue.
So the town received the lot consolidation request from Danny and Allison Hudson to consolidate their two lots into one. They are located on Grand Avenue. Grand Avenue is not built out where they are located, but if it were, it would be called Grand Avenue. So the municipal code requires us to find the items A through E that are listed on page 4 and 5, and I can read them to you. The lot consolidation affects the property that, so the lot consolidations are defined as meeting all of the following criteria. One is affecting property that was previously subdivided into legally recognized lots or parcels. It is a legally recognized lot and parcel. It's not relocating or reconfiguring any previously established lot lines. It's not doing that. It's just vacating one in the middle. Not resulting in a new lot that has been previously, that had previously been separate lots divided by a public road or a private road. There's never been a road there. Not creating or resulting in creation of a lot or parcel of land that would violate or fail to conform with any applicable zoning or other standard or regulation, including but not limited to lot area. It meets lot area, it meets minimum frontage. There is no building yet, so the height is moot. Setbacks, same, there aren't. There isn't anything built there, density same, public or private road or parking or access. There's none of those. So it is not changing any of that and it's not creating anything yet. So eventually when they do come up with their building permit, we will discuss access. But since there is nothing there, there's nothing to discuss. So and the last one is not altering a public right of way or easement reserved for drainage or utilities or anything, any kind located on the combined lots, and there are not any of those either. The applicant did submit the application form, the deposit, proof of ownership. They have the description. They printed it out on the Mylar and mailed it in. And there is a copy of it in our packet. And then, and we mailed a letter to all the adjacent owners to let them know, and the neighbors did not have any issue with it. I think 2 people emailed and had questions about lot consolidation and access. So we've already discussed that. And they were okay with the answers as well, which is there is no access currently, and it will be discussed with the building permit. And I have just for fun sent him all of the requirements to access his property and our grading and our road requirements for when he does want to do that. So he can share that with he shared it with his architect so they can discuss it beforehand and not be surprised. Like it seems like everybody else in this town. The review criteria The planning commission reviews the criteria using the 1 through 5. And until all these criteria have been met, 1 through 5, you cannot approve it. And we kind of went over them, but the combined lots are legally defined lots. The combined lots would not subsequently create additional lots. The lots would not adversely affect existing access, and they would not adversely affect adjacent properties or their enjoyment. And any covenants or deed restrictions or other conditions of approval that apply to the original lots will also apply to the resultant lot. And all of those things are true. So, you can discuss amongst yourself if you would like. And the recommendation are listed below on if you want to approve the lot consolidation or not. And they are doing it because they would like to build a home that is bigger than just one lot. So they want to build across the lot line when they build their single family home. That is the purpose of the lot consolidation. And no, they have not submitted any building plans yet.
All right.
There you
Any
go.
questions for Kim?
This is on Grand Avenue going, Grand
Basically,
Avenue or Lake?
It's
It's
right
grand.
here. It's right.
It's Lake, isn't it?
it's grand.
It's right here.
Mhm.
It's, so Woodpecker Hill is this road. And it's this area.
It's basically behind the house that got
What
torn
is
down.
this? This is,
I got one.
That's the house that's under construction right
House
now.
that was under construction that got kind of
oh,
demolished.
oh, the
back
one
up.
that's.
So it's right in front of it. It's all
Oh,
Front of
in
it.
that sagebrush area.
oh, okay,
On the
can
hill.
go up a little bit.
Or you zoom out a little bit, I'm trying to
Yeah.
understand where that is too.
Okay.
It's behind Gateway End, basically.
like
up the
right-
hill.
Yeah.
Right here.
Oh, okay.
So is that up on the road where we were debating the hill and the driveways and all that?
No, this is.
You have to go up Park
Up from
Avenue.
there?
This is Park Avenue, going up, actually, this is Woodpecker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Woodpecker Hill.
Okay,
And then that's that house that, was, started and then delayed for a long time.
Basically,
And then they, started working on it again.
if you stood at the gateway.
And Gateway is back
and just
over,
looked up the hill.
back way
It's in
down
that
here.
whole space that's undeveloped. It's
Okay,
that big empty hillside.
block 37. Yeah, there. you
Yeah,
go.
right there.
Is
Yeah.
that accessed by the road that goes through
Okay,
back
that's
to
the
the
gate.
gateway? or
No,
is it
it's-
accessed through-
I don't think they can access it from Marv Haymeyer's old driveway, if that's what you mean. I don't think they can go that way because there's a really steep right switchbacks. It's really steep. I think they have to come off of Woodpecker Hill and come down at the very top of Woodpecker, come down the alley past the houses and back down the hill that way. I think that's the only way to access it, and then up that alley.
Do we want
But
to?
Marvin up there is very steep. It's steeper than Marv's driveway.
So I think.
No, yeah. Has,
Wow.
who was the one that,
Oh, isn't that where,
who put?
yeah, down there is where, that's where, isn't Jeff Elliott's house down there?
No. that's further.
Yeah.
A little bit farther?
Quite a
Yeah.
ways.
Okay.
Who? Just out of curiosity, and then we should probably let the applicant talk as well. But who put the road in on Walden Street that's there now? Randomly put dirt?
Huh.
Should probably call the realtor, they probably know. who.
Well, it used to be a horse trail there going
Well,
down,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I was really surprised the last time I
Yeah,
was up there and
they did it
it's a
while.
full
Pete
road.
Weber was Still public works director, so it's been a while when they. did
Right,
it.
yeah, it was just, I all of a sudden came out of the trees on the horse trail and there's a whole road there at one
Yeah.
point.
No, I was also trying to figure that out myself,
Okay.
because that's not okay to
Yeah.
destroy public right of way
Right.
without permission.
So-
Yeah.
I'm
We-
guessing it's the owners that are just down the hill from there.
I'm guessing whoever wanted to sell their property somewhere down there.
Huh.
All right, other questions for Kim? If not, we should probably let
How
the.
about the lot consolidation?
Yeah, let's go back to the lot consolidation. So we can, I'm assuming that's the gentleman that's on the screen.
Danny Hudson is on the line.
Okay, do you want to say anything to the commission?
Hi, no, just nice to meet you all. We're excited about the potential of building in Grand Lake. We have a daughter and son-in-law that live on County Road 46, so just around the corner. We have another daughter and son-in-law that live in Thornton. So we're looking to build a property where we can, gather as a family on a regular basis.
Okay. Excellent. Any questions for the applicant? If not, this is a pretty simple process, so unless we have questions, I'd entertain a motion.
No problem with consolidating it.
This will be a single family home when it's when it's
Yep.
built.
And it's
Well,
zoned that way, right?
that's how it's
Well,
zoned.
if it's consolidated, it can only have one single family, and this is.
They can have an ADU
Yeah, they can
They
have an
do.
ADU.
or outbuildings or.
I'm more excited to see the access.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've engaged core consultants to civil engineer and work out the design of a road for us. So we'll bring that in once they do that.
Perfect.
Very good. All right,
I move to adopt resolution 11-2023 as presented.
Second.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Great.
All right,
That's all we have for items of business.
all right. Thank you for your time tonight.
Yeah, Danny, you don't have to stay on. You're welcome to, but it's not that exciting.
You don't know what you would.
But your dog can
was
stay
gonna
on.
say-
You can-
Yeah,
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 just leave your dog right there.
yeah. Sadie definitely wanted to be part of the proceedings.
Yeah, she's pretty cute.
Yeah, he's yeah. No, we appreciate this, and we look forward to meeting you all as we start to get entrenched in the community up there. So thank you for tonight, and we look forward to moving forward.
Oh, yeah, Monday. We'll see you
Yeah.
Monday.
Yes, you will.
Again, all right. Have a
Yeah,
good night.
thank you. Okay, bye.
Thank you.
All right, with no other items of business, we'll move on to item for discussion, fence code discussion.
Ooh.
Exciting.
I know you're so excited. So after our most recent fencing questions, it was requested that we bring up our fence code again and discuss it. So the purpose of this is basically our current code is really, really basic. And it leaves us kind of open to interpretation from owners, however they want to interpret it. So ours basically says fences can be constructed of wood, native or imitation stone in a style and color harmonious with the adjacent buildings, architecture, and the surrounding natural environment. That's all good. However, we don't have any kind of like solid to void ratio kind of situation. So you can have an 8-foot fence that is a solid wall, if you want, of brick or rock or some kind of what we have. We do have things that say we can't have chain link fences unless it's around a marina, playground, daycare facility, tennis or recreation court, and that's probably fine. But the fences over 8 feet have to be reviewed by the planning commission, and that's pretty much it. And the only if it's over, I believe it's 6 feet, it has to have an engineer stamp from the state or from a licensed engineer. But that's not in our code. That's just an international building, residential building code. So that's just a requirement by universally. So what I was thinking is, I did get, Winter Park has a new code that is listed below. I might have James kind of discuss it because it's kind of thicker than our code. But,
Could have invited my planner. if that was the
right,
case.
yeah, should have invited you.
Mhm.
So, The one other thing that I've noticed is that, in other towns that I've lived in too, there's a difference in height from the front to the back. So, in my previous town, it was like you could only go up to 4 feet in the front, and in the side or backyards, like starting at the side of your house back, it could go up to 8 feet. But the front yard couldn't go over 4 feet. I don't know if we want that, but I believe, and then like corner lots would be kind of the same. That's corner lots would be the same as 2 front lots, so they'd be both 4 feet. Or whatever we wanted. I don't know if we
Well-
want to change the size, but height from front to back.
Yeah, and I think too, I think you brought up a lot of good points of ones that we should consider changing or adding into the code. I think too, the amount of area that you can enclose, so you can't fence your entire property.
Mm.
That, cause like in the Winter Park Code, we put in a maximum of 2,000 square feet or 25% of your property, whichever is greater. So that it's a limit on, if you have a larger lot, you can only fence in so much of the area. Not,
I don't understand the philosophy of that. If I want to fence, I want to fence my property. Why restrict that?
Mostly for wildlife is my
Yeah.
opinion, is because currently, well, before everybody started moving in from other states, it's just been open. It's been like backyards, open, everywhere's open, just a house. And then maybe a buck rail fence, and animals can just go freely like they're supposed to, kind of,
Mhm.
instead of these little islands where they have to go around.
I guess my
That's-
answer to that is
That's-
we're not,
we
in-
live in wilderness.
yeah, we're not in Suburbiaville, so.
Yeah.
You said 25% or what?
2,000.
Or 2,000 square feet,
Square feet or
Or
linear?
2,000
square feet
square feet, whichever
is greater.
Is
is
greater.
greater.
Or well, whichever is more restrictive, sorry.
What's less?
Oh, oh,
I'm just reading my code for the first time
2,000,
too.
So.
So, so yeah, I mean, I think I guess that's where we're not in Suburbiaville, and we are in the mountains where we share it with the with the wildlife, so we should encourage them to be able to move through the town.
Yeah.
I don't think we would
And-
want to see something like I know in Arizona. In the towns. They're just solid block walls around the entire property. And they're 6 to 8 feet tall.
Mhm.
And
And
we're,
you feel like you're in the prison walking area
right,
because you can't see anything, you can't,
Better,
Communicate
bigger
with your
fences
neighbors.
make better neighbors, isn't
well,
that?
that's probably true.
and we're starting to see it. It
I
seems
mean,
like
you
a lot
see it like
more fences
everybody.
showing up here.
Everybody buys a house and the next thing they do is they call me and ask for a fence. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't say no.
So since,
Well,
yeah,
So
Hmm.
it's a little counterintuitive to where we live. That's all.
Yeah.
Like, we live next to a national park. I-
We do, but Colorado is a fence out state. So if you want to keep animals out of your yard, and I'm not saying wildlife because I love having the wildlife. But I have a neighbor who sends their dog down to do his business in my yard. And if I've been considering putting a fence up so that I can prevent that because I get no assistance in cleaning that up. So, all the fences I have built in Grand County up to this point have been buck and rail so that they're wildlife friendly. But I am considering putting something up to prevent this dog from coming down. And I would have to fence the whole yard
Yeah.
to do that.
You talk to the neighbor?
I've asked them to come and help me clean up and
I'm wondering if we don't do something like where it's buck and rail, but then it can have that, like, not chicken wire, but like
essentially
that.
like a chicken wire.
Yeah, like a
Yeah. Yeah.
square, so you can put it down so they can keep things out, but things can still jump over that have really long legs and antlers. Or
Well,
paddles.
a buck and rail really is the best because the baby animals can crawl under and the adults can crawl over. It's just if you have a problem like me, you can't use a buck and rail to keep a dog out. The dog
And-
can crawl right under it.
Well, that's why we're saying maybe
Is
buck.
that
and
a
rail.
buck and rail, is a post and beam?
No, it's the
No,
ones
it's
like
the
this.
And then 2 or 3
It's like
cross
behind
pieces.
sagebrush right now.
Yeah, but you could use split and rail too.
Yeah.
Split rail does the same thing and
Yeah,
bushes.
but you could put, some, chicken wire or, mesh wire.
Behind it or along.
Right.
Do we still not have a dog leash law in town?
We have a dog leash law.
There you go. Just gotta
And
call
our
code
neighbor should
enforcement.
have his dog on a leash.
I'm a neighbor of
And that's the
guy.
problem I have with condos across the street. Is that everybody comes up and they think, okay, we're out of the city, we don't have to abide by the regulations. So they let their dogs run.
Yeah, I think that's a sheriff thing.
Yeah.
Or,
think so
I
too.
mean, animal control thing, you can call animal control. They'll come up, their animal control comes to town once in a while, I see them pull up in front of our building.
They come to-
And-
out to-
Yeah,
At least they come to my house.
They come to your house.
Well, they have a house behind our,
Yeah.
place, so I see the truck a lot.
So I'm just wondering, if we say we don't, obviously you have reasons and other people have reasons, other people want to leave their dogs out all day, like all day. Barking at the fence on the street from me, but it's fine, but they're not really safe. I mean, things can still get their animals,
Mhm.
right? So, that's really up to the owner, I suppose, leaving their dogs chained up or whatever in their backyards.
Well, and there's exemptions. You can make exemptions for pet fences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Dog run.
Yeah, and I don't think that the chicken wire is different than the like chain link. It's just the look of chain link. If you had chicken wire next to your buck rail or your split rail or your, the ones that zigzag this way
Mhm.
that are set on top of each other, a little thicker. But that's still like a solid to void ratio. You can still kind of see through the fence. It's kind of allowing that sort of not that wall that you see, that
Yeah,
8
the
foot wall.
openness to still.
open,
exist.
visual openness is good.
Anyway,
And a lot of them, I've seen a lot of them with, just like the square wire fencing, gaps this size or this size, whatever. And that's fine, you see through it and have the posts and beams.
yeah, and
That's fine. And
they can plant stuff
you
around. it.
restrict anything like what that Winter Park has, I mean, the typical lot here is, 50 by 100, which is 5,000 square feet.
Mhm.
So, to have it only 25% of the lot would allow you to.
Can you
close your
even,
Backyard.
you can't even close your backyard with that, right?
Right,
You
yeah.
could enclose their house.
Well, it says in here too, no perimeter fencing is allowed, so they prohibit you putting a
Mhm.
fence all the way around the outside, no matter how big your lot is.
Yeah,
That's Winter Park.
Just in the winter parking.
right.
Yeah.
We just had one go up, a split rail fence go up, along the front property line. And they purposely set it back just far enough so it wasn't a perimeter and they didn't wrap the corners so that it wasn't enclosing. But it kept the front because evidently they had people trespassing.
Yeah.
Between roads on their lot, so. So people will find creative ways no matter what you
What do you
do,
do?
but it also prevented them from completely enclosing their property, and the solid to void ratio kept it as very open, so it's a split rail, it's not a solid wall. in
Not a
neighborhood.
10 to 14 foot rock
Right,
wall.
in a neighborhood that had no fences, this one really caught the neighbors off guard that they even could, so.
So Kim, in your chair, what would you think most important? What would you like to have? Hey, did you see the regulation answer on?
Well, I'd rather not see 6 and 8 foot privacy fence, wooden, flat privacy fences that are going up all over town. Because it does create these ecosystem kind of areas where they have to go a different way, or they're used to going through town a certain way, all the animals going through town. And it's messing with that, with the nature. And yeah, I know that we all have houses here, but we've always had the houses here and they've always kind of gone through the backyards and when they do their thing. I'd rather not see that. I can't do anything about it. You can have a fence. So I don't know, that's what I would like to not see, is just that, like, maybe if they're shorter, maybe if they're more open looking, maybe just having for better, lack of better word, the chicken wire. It's not chicken wire, but like the square wire, on it with the wood or something.
And
Or,
if you get the green color, you almost can't even see it most of
or
the
the,
time.
yeah, the black is really, yeah, but, I mean, that's what I'd like to see, but it's up to you guys. You're kind of,
And as
I
it
just
sta-
brought this because it was brought to me multiple times over the last couple of years about fencing, so.
Well, that's kind of what I would like to see is more open, even the view corridors.
Mhm.
You know, people looking down the street, maybe 3 houses off the lake could see the lake as long as the fences were open,
Yeah, yeah, because
not-
people on the other
not
side,
privacy
that's
fences.
true. It's nice to see the lake instead of somebody's fence on some of that like Grand Lake Estates area. It seems like there's a lot of fences over there.
If we recommended adopting some of the winter park things, would there be pushback from the trustees, from people in town?
Maybe pushback from some
I
of
think
the
there would
planning
also be
commission
some.
members.
Well,
I wasn't
Colorado
asking
is a
for
fence
vote, I
out
was just-
state, so I don't see
throwing
how
out a
we can
question.
regulate people with their fence. Because you have a right to fence animals out of your yard.
So how's Winter Park doing it?
I don't know.
What do you mean, how, where we?
Yeah,
She's saying it's
Colorado is a
illegal.
fence out state if you don't want animals, so.
But
it
isn't
can be
that
free range.
domestic? That's like domestic
Yeah, not-
cattle and things like that, right? I mean,
And dogs, I mean, dogs are domestic animals. If you don't want dogs in your yard,
mhm.
you have the right to put up a fence to keep anyone out of your yard. And I don't see how that reconciles with the Winter Park regulations.
And as it stands right now, the fence can be constructed not beyond the property lines. It has to be
Has to be on your property line.
on the
Or
property
inside
line
your
or
property.
within.
Well, it has to be within. Can't be from.
It-
Oh, sorry,
It can be.
according to Winter Park.
Oh, Winter Park,
I mean,
but,
I don't.
but ours, we can do it right on the
Yeah,
property.
guess so.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
can
think
run
the
it by the
fences,
attorney.
it would be good to have modify it so that they're not completely obstructing views.
Mhm. And I don't think we're saying you can't have a fence. We're just saying what kind of fence you can have. So we're not,
Well, yeah, I mean, if you don't
we're
want.
not saying you can't, I'm not. I appreciate that you don't want more than 25%, bless you, but I'm not saying that we can't do that. I'm not suggesting that. I am suggesting that what we do allow has more solid to void ratio or is not so intense with these huge walls that we
8 feet
see
is
all over.
8 feet's ridiculous. I mean, nobody
Right.
needs 8 feet. Even 6 feet's.
Yeah, well, like everybody on Lakeside and Elk Drive think they need an 8-foot or 6-foot privacy fence, and I don't really know why, and they're
Yeah,
really,
just
that's
big-
where all the animals go through all of that space. They wanna go from the water up to wherever, and they come through all of those houses.
Yeah,
Well, I
those
have a
solid fences
Report
are
that
not very,
Animals just walk over. it.
friendly.
Yeah, and then they go down in the road and then they have more
Livestock.
interactions with cars because they can't go through the yards where there's not anybody hanging out in the backyards on the property lines. Then they go out onto the yard to go around, they get a little scared, they try to figure it out, and then there's people walking or people on the road or in their cars, and it's just not good when they could kind of hide behind houses and just kind of skirt up behind houses where they've been doing for years. And so I just think that these tall, yeah, all like I just said, all privacy fences. bad.
Sorry, I meant to say livestock, not domestic animals. It's livestock that applies to the fencing out. We really don't have.
Well, if I
live-
have goats, I can just let them run through the town. And if people don't want goats in their yard, they have a right to put a fence up.
Do we
Keep
allow
my goats out
goats?
of their yard.
Do we allow goats?
I don't know.
I don't
if we
think
allow-
so.
I don't think we allow livestock.
Fencing
There are
with-
chickens allowed.
We allow
Chickens
chickens.
are allowed.
Chickens are in the town.
I used to wake up every morning to horses tromping through.
Livestock
When they had the
includes,
stables
yeah, it
downtown.
does include goats, so horses, cattle, mules, goats, sheep, buffalo, and something else, cattle.
Those roosters wake up early, don't they?
Yeah, like you said, I don't care if you have a limit on it. If you want to allow people to still fence their yard, great, but just have a more openness to it. But
Yeah,
again.
and then like the solid to void ratio issue would be if they needed to fence it more, you know, to keep somebody out and a split rail, I would say that they could use the chicken wire with it. Cause I've seen that around town too. People have asked me, can they put chicken wire on there? And I said, yeah, as long as it's not chain link, you can put it on.
Well, if you had like the solid fencing.
Mhm.
That. You could just say that solid fencing, has to be. Reviewed by the town on a case by case basis.
Or anything over 6 feet, anything over 6
Like
feet or
there was,
solid.
Wow.
like, for instance, there was a house, that was just sold. And in order to get more money for it, he fenced it in. And I was like, why? Why? And he's like, well, I had a dilapidated fence that was like, I don't know how he had a chain link, but he had chain link on the back line of it. And I was like, okay. And they said, I need a fence for my kids. I need a fence for my kids. And I was like, okay. And then the next day it was on the market. And it was just like, no, you didn't. You wanted it to increase the property value from someone who came from a different area, come into town to Airbnb this, but whatever. That's just what it is. People's not being forthright is frustrating on top of the fact that,
And if you're going to go to
We ran
6,
into that a bit.
if you're going to go to 6 feet. And you don't allow them to completely enclose their entire yard, then you've still. Not allowed for wildlife movement
Right.
throughout town,
Right.
so. I think that's another reason to consider a maximum amount of area that they can enclose, because you're still creating all these fenced in backyards and the wildlife is now having to use the roads in order to get around town. So.
Well, the moose walk over my 4-foot.
4-foot, yes, they
Step
can,
over it,
4-foot they can easily walk over.
Yeah.
Most
but that's
moose can't.
generally all you would need for example, dogs.
Right,
Would be
the majority of dogs, yeah,
the majority of the time, you wouldn't
Jumpers.
need a 6-foot or an 8-foot thing.
right.
So the guy who has the new family who has a couple little kids. Probably be real annoyed at the 25% restriction because he wants to fence his yard to keep kids in. And I would say if we discourage him from doing that at all, we win. That's a good thing.
Discourage them from putting a fence up.
Well, if I were considering a fence, the idea of just sort of putting one around my house and leaving all the space outside, it would just kind of weird.
Mhm.
Makes it
Right,
hard
well,
to
yeah,
mow,
to-
hard to maintain.
It ends up discouraging fences in general.
But sorry,
It ends up discouraging them in
exactly.
general. Yeah,
Which is maybe a good thing.
right.
I'm okay with limiting the size. I mean, the whole Larry thing, the 8-foot thing really just jumped out at all of us. The 6, maybe a 6, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what the right number is, but 8's probably too high.
Mhm.
but if somebody wants to fence out their neighbors, there's always the variance process.
Mhm.
So it could be just a general, and then if somebody really wants it, they can come in.
Well, yeah, I mean. They're
Or needs
limited
it.
to 6 feet. Seems like a reasonable. Suggested change. You know.
So the
I
one,
don't
Maybe
think we
8
need
feet.
6
I had
feet.
to really think hard about the 1 to 3. So 1 to 3 means an inch of wood, 3-inch space, and then an inch of wood. So if you go to 1 to 2, there's less space. So we want 1 to 3 or 1 to 4, 1 to 5, 1 to 6, 1 to 7. I'd really think about that.
Yeah.
So I have a planner that figures that out. Yeah, I mean, and it makes it, it makes it difficult for the homeowners too. They have to figure out how
Right.
to meet that ratio. So. But it makes them, again, think a little bit more about it. They just don't go call a fence company up and have them slap up a fence real quick.
Oh, the void.
Well, even just saying maximum, so they go maximum, which 1 to 2, is that more or is that less? I had to really think about that.
And Heather, chapter 815 of our code says that they can't let their dogs run around, so, I don't see where it is in our, fines. But, we can call code enforcement and try to get that resolved that way.
That's a county amount, isn't it? Because it's a county dog catcher that
That's county, yeah, but our code specifically says no, no dogs running around free. No
Well,
free rein
But
dogs.
if you don't have a fence, then every time you let your dog out, it's running free.
Well, I put your dog on a leash like I do, since for the last 8 years, every time he has to go potty, I put him on a leash and walk him outside when it's -20. They have no excuse.
Yep.
I mean.
I walk my dog and I have a 4-foot area enclosed of about 1,800 square feet, maybe.
Not fun, but
As long as they go
when you
walk
don't have
And I
a
still
fence,
walk
multiple times a day down the stairs.
live in a place that doesn't have a fence.
And I have a doggy door.
I'd love to put a fence up. I can't. But I would put one up that's not like that. Anyway. So,
Oh, is this Mr. Chairman, is this something we're gonna try to resolve today? Or are we thinking about it today?
I think we just want to give ideas to Kim.
and then I can take them to
Right.
Dan too and see if like if we're not allowed to do certain things or if we can. So that's good to know. I didn't realize that, so.
Well, there's definitely some things in here I like. I like the idea of the bigger fence on the back, smaller in the front. That kind of makes sense.
You mean height wise?
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of makes sense to me. And I do think that we should cut the 8 to something.
Well, depending on the front, and, you know, what is the front and, you know, I mean, it depends upon the, you know, the
True.
lot.
True, I don't have a
Yeah,
lot.
it
My,
could-
my back is a lake.
Yeah, okay, right, yeah. Yeah, but there's some people, you know, like the house or the lot consolidation that we had right there. You know, where's the front? Well, the front is way down there with nothing.
Well, the front would be the front of the front door and when there's a.
Well, no, there's a, no, on
No, their front setback will be grand.
12 and 13 there, the front is on the south side, right?
Mhm.
And there's nothing there.
So some-
Well, but anyhow, it,
You just think that's too subjective, that part?
yeah, that, I mean, if you, it's simple, thing, you're no longer no taller than 6 feet. And I like that, you know, maximum solid to void. You know, if you had it, I would say more like 1 to 5 would be the maximum.
Well, this says 1 to 3.
Yeah, but, well,
There's.
that's, yeah,
That's-
so you have just kind of a little space like that.
Well, remember.
Whereas, you know, here you would have 1 to 5 would be, you know, more
Well,
open,
remember, if the solid is a foot, that means the space is pretty
2
big.
feet, yeah.
Yeah, you're getting pretty large at that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 feet, right. But most poles are. Poles and posts are gonna be something like that, you know. So. 3 feet, 1 to 3 would be something like that. 1 to 5 would be like that, but typically what they do is 1 to, you know, 10. What they do.
It's wide open.
And some of the codes that I came across that was talking about, also requiring fencing between, zones like industrial
Mm.
and residential. So you wouldn't see stuff going on, like, that's kind of gross, like the Public Works building or something, you know, like having that obscured with a fence was okay.
Or one of
What do
our
you-
beautiful alleyways.
Yeah,
What do
Public
you,
Works facility, huh?
what do you guys think as well of
things like that.
like allowing or requiring if they are doing slats, you know, the slat requiring it horizontal versus vertical?
With space between it or without space
Yeah.
between it?
Well, you'd have to still have that solid to void ratio being
Oh,
met, but
I see.
Does it
Oh, no.
matter what direction it is? If it's wood?
no,
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
horizontal just looks nice. than
Well, yeah.
Vertical,
Right, right,
But-
right, right.
it's probably more expensive too, so.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about the vertical side, but that's right too. Oh, yeah. Rails going across. Um, 1 to 3 is kind of acceptable.
So is the 6 feet is it for privacy? Is that what we're trying to allow? Private backyards? thing?
I mean, they are currently, fences over 8 feet are reviewed, so you can have fences up to 8 feet.
Oh, right, I know, we're just throwing out 6 feet. I'm wondering why 6 feet. The num-
I threw out 6 feet because it's standard.
Yeah, most people do 6-foot privacy fences
Most,
when they do.
most people are 6 feet or less. Maybe
Mhm.
that's why you can't peek over it.
Right. I was just thinking if we're trying to, again, be wildlife friendly, 4 feet allows for wildlife movement in backyards. 6 feet doesn't.
Not really.
So-
Oh, interesting.
Is there anything on here that we think you want to add? Because right now we just have those A, B, and C, which is mostly just that first bit. Fences shall be constructed of wood, native or imitation stone, and colors harmonious with adjacent building architecture and surrounding natural environment. Which is fine and dandy, but apparently anybody can twist that into anything.
Well, I'm curious why white picket fences are allowed when we're trying to go for native.
I was
stone
wondering that
wood.
as well.
Yeah, I wonder who, I don't.
Maybe because we used to have cottages.
yeah,
Cottages should have a white picket fence.
Yes. How many
I-
white picket fences do we have?
I think I've seen one in town
Yeah, I can't even visualize where.
around Crabtree. Or maybe
Oh.
just around
Yeah.
their garden.
That's just
Maybe around their garden. Yeah,
Okay, so what other direction do we want to give Kim to?
yeah, is there anything else? I mean,
Draft.
because right now it just literally, that is my direction, is that they have to be constructed of that, and if it's over 8 feet. You guys get to weigh in on it. That's all the direction I have, so people can come in and just keep. Killing our wildlife corridor, really chopping it up into little pieces and sending the animals
I'd rather have
out.
6 feet or 4 foot. I think 4 foot actually is for our community and for
I mean, you could do over
Perfect.
4 feet, has to come to the planning commission.
that would.
I mean,
My
that might
suggestion.
be,
So for then you'd end up having to give a recommendation to the trustees and. They would likely overturn whatever we decided. Sorry.
unless you're not bitter.
I'm not bitter, no. Sorry.
Maybe I can get them to write this in a way or tell me
No.
that it's okay to
No, I think.
just say that.
I'm kind of with you. Put it at 4 feet and then if they have really good reasons, why 6 feet?
Yeah.
Cause it is nice that I guess it's nice that you have a private backyard, but it's also nice to be able to see through backyards. I mean, 4 feet allows that. for the Majority of people while still keeping dogs and children safe and enclosed.
Because most children are 4 feet and under.
Right.
But they can climb.
And I know when I was a
They
kid,
can climb.
that's didn't stop me. I would just leave them
Mhm.
over back when I could move.
And in the winter, you can just walk right over it.
Yeah, in the winter, everybody's walking over it anyway, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, in fact, even, yeah. 4 feet, yeah, if you get snow in the yard. The dogs could just step right over, it, so
To dig it out.
6 feet. It seems, for that purpose anyhow, to be reasonable. But I see, yeah,
They can
your point,
still-
4 feet, in the summertime, would yeah, it's pretty good, except for some of those long-legged moose, but they can. go
If the
over.
dogs are good jumpers, they can.
And
I was gonna
yes,
say,
you're
yeah,
right, yeah.
My husky can
And
clear a
yeah, and
6-foot
the
fence.
deer and the elk can just jump right over that real easy, yeah, but that doesn't happen too often.
Well, there are two things that are really hard to satisfy both. If someone really wants privacy from his neighbor, a
Thank you.
4-foot wall ain't gonna do it.
No.
Feet isn't
Plant
it?
shrubbery.
Yeah, plant
trees.
Exactly.
Plants and Willows.
Trees
Those
and
things get
shrubs.
fixed.
6 foot.
If you don't want to
you
see your
give him a
neighbor
6 foot
sunbathing.
Because his neighbor is then you got your wildlife issue, so.
Put up a lilac bush. I mean, there's lots of native ways of screening your
Yeah.
neighbor out. If you really want to,
Yeah.
without putting up a fence.
Yeah, and your 15-foot setback. There's a lot of
Yeah.
vegetation can grow to there.
I don't know, it just feels like if we don't do something,
Yeah,
we're gonna
full
become
coverage.
suburbiaville. Cause that's the people that we're getting to move up here. They're
Yes.
coming out of the city, they're used to having all of that and so they
That's
don't
the
bring it
first
with
thing they
them.
do every single time a house gets sold. It
Right.
seems to come right to me. Do we need a permit? Nope. But it needs to be wood or harmonious with your neighbor. And you're like, okay.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Well, and even just simple things like, hey, the finished side of the fence has to be on the outside if you are gonna allow a fence. And especially vertical, you don't, there's so many
I just
people that
tell
put
them
the
to, I
inside.
tell them they have to talk to their neighbor.
Oh my God, are you kidding?
Cause
Okay,
we don't
well-
have any rules. We don't have rules.
Well,
I mean, you have to
And-
talk to your neighbor.
that's why we. need
Oh,
this.
yeah, no, they have to talk to their neighbor. They're gonna put a fence up. I'm like, it's very good if you go reach out to your neighbor and tell them which way you're putting your fence.
Right.
Cause maybe they'll pay for half of it if they want it facing the other way.
There you
So do we think a 4-foot fence is okay for wildlife? Most things can jump over that.
Well, most adult animals can, but there are
Yeah, the
certain times a
babies.
year when the babies can't go over it.
Right.
But if they're already on the other
But
side
in
of the
John's point,
fence.
if you got 3 feet of snow, now it's only a foot tall.
Yeah.
So I just shared with you the fencing with wildlife in mind that the CPW gave me
So that
a
was just-
couple of years ago. So when Diane,
Mahoney,
thank you, Mahoney, she wanted to talk about, because her neighbor put up a fence. She didn't like the direction it was facing, so she brought it here and we wanted to fix it, but we never codified anything. Because we couldn't decide on what to do. So we shared and we had, I don't know if we had CPW come in or if they just shared this with us, the fencing with wildlife in mind. But it talks about all the different, what you should do to think about with the animals and the migration. So it's something to just kind of glance through. It's a little resource book.
Mhm.
So I,
Some very graphic photos,
very graphic.
but it tells you what wildlife and fencing, what
Mhm.
happens, so.
Oh, man, that is graphic.
Yeah.
But that's something, and again, I'm not trying to say do adopt what Winter Park did, but we've been putting wildlife friendly fencing regulations into every plat as well now.
Mm,
So, again, really limiting and making developers think about where they do put their fencing if they do. Because sometimes CPW wants fencing, like we have one development that they're requiring split rail fence between the development and the wetlands. So that people in their backyard don't just wander off into the wetlands and
that makes sense.
grade trails, so.
Right.
Um,
And there's like fencing in Granby that keeps the cows mostly off of the Grand Elk Golf Course,
mostly,
except when they break through sometimes.
or like Estes Park, which has herds of elk on their golf course
Yeah.
in town,
Yeah,
walking down the streets.
well, that makes sense, yeah.
what
Anyway.
other information do you need from us to?
I was
Okay.
thinking maybe a consensus on perhaps having this changed to 4 feet and then your approval, instead of 8 feet. Maybe would be good. And then if you want to do the solid to void ratio, then they can still pick what they want, like wood or whichever direction they want it, or what kind of wood they want it to look like, as long as there's a solid to void ratio. I think that would cover it. That would kind of give me a little bit more ability to
Or teeth.
discriminate. And then you guys could still also be able to help say yes, no on a case by case after 4 feet. I think that would be good if we could add those two things or change those two things. Like adding solid to void ratio of 50%. Just like that's very basic, but that's like, I think Aspen said they had 50% solid to void ratio for their historic area downtown, and I saw it in Idaho and somewhere else. I was kind of quickly trying to find.
I think our solid to void came from Breckenridge,
Okay.
so they have something similar.
I think yours is a little complicated for me with the 1 inch, 3 inch,
Mhm.
2
Yeah,
inch.
I think
one
that's going a little
left
far.
leg, right leg height. But
I don't disagree.
it's many.
That's why we didn't adopt it.
Yeah, yeah. But if we have a consensus on that, we're not saying you can't have all the way around. We're not saying you can't have, a fence, period. We're just saying be more mindful.
Mhm.
That's all.
So I guess let's just take a straw poll because we can't have vote on it, but
Right,
give direction of 4 feet versus 6 feet. Thoughts on it?
Or, yep,
I'm for 4.
I'd say 6.
I'd say
Before they come in and
six,
see you.
You'd say 6?
I'd say 6, yeah.
They're saying everybody could have a 6-foot fence.
But
And then they have to come
taller
out.
than 6, I mean, they can have a 4 foot.
So this would just be, well, all I'm saying is that fences over 4 feet would be reviewed by you guys to say yes or no. I'm not
Yes.
saying they can't have them.
Oh,
I'm
I
just
see.
saying we change this one instead of fences over 8 feet should be reviewed by planning commission for approval or denial. It would say fences over 4 feet would be reviewed by you for approval or denial.
Yeah, so
I
That's
think-
what I'm
I
saying.
think our position is 4 feet allows wildlife movement.
Mm-hmm.
And to be higher than that, give us a reason why you think you.
Okay.
why you need it.
No.
Oh, okay. well,
So you can
that's-
have it. It's definitely not like, this wouldn't be even, this even, I don't believe this would even be a variance. It would just be a come in and
Well, and maybe
request.
you could provide a couple of like guidelines to why, like, if they have to have a 6-foot fence, is there like some conditions that, not conditions, but requirements why?
Yeah, I guess they'd have to meet do they meet these things?
Yeah.
Like you, yeah. Yeah, let me look up some more things.
Okay.
And then we'll bring it back.
Solid to void ratio,
Well,
want some.
yeah, I like that. I like a solid to void ratio of maximum of, that 1 to 3 is, that would be the maximum, but they certainly can have 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. And for that.
I think we should start small and just do 1 to 2. Because that's a huge change. Right now, people can totally block it off. And now you're saying, okay, well,
Every other slat. has
every
to go.
other slat,
Mhm.
which I think is a lot easier because if you're trying to keep animals out, a 1 to 3, animals can come right through that 2 slat space.
Mhm.
Well, the idea behind that is that you have some kind of, wire fencing if you want that.
Yeah, I really don't like wire fencing, so I don't like that idea at all. I don't like chain link fence. I understand sometimes it's required. But I don't like looking at that at all. And I don't like wire. And wire's really bad for animals. They get killed in it. They get caught in it. Even small animals, a bunny coming through can get caught in your wire and die. So I'm very opposed to barbed wire, chain link. I think that you can build a fence that's functional out of wood. And I think if you have a 1 to 2 ratio, that's possible.
For 1 to 2, if I'm doing it with a 4-inch slat vertically.
Yeah,
and
so
I've got 1
50%.
and then I've got an 8-inch.
Then you have an 8-inch gap and that's not gonna.
Well, then
keep
let's
it
do
all.
1 then, 50%. 50%.
4-inch slat, 4-inch opening, 4-inch slat,
I
4-inch
mean, the
opening.
1-to-1 kind of makes sense but it's hard to think of all the possible ways
Yeah.
somebody could be
Good luck.
trying to do this.
Well,
So you're saying that other places just say 50% of it has to be open in some configuration?
Solid to void ratio is 50%. So
Which is which is 1-to-1.
1-to-1.
That's the maximum solve. And of course, it can be big,
We can make it a bit wider.
yeah, right.
Yeah, you could make it
You
like
could decrease that.
Right.
ten
ratio.
percent void or solid.
That
It could be
50%
two posts and one thing going
well,
across. That would be
50% is
fine.
Sure, easier to understand. The whole 1-to-1, 1-to-3 thing is
Yeah,
kind of mind numbing to me. Let's see, if it's an inch.
Well,
If it's
and,
9 inches, oh, then that's 27. Oh,
well, I disagree with Commissioner Bishop with regards to the utilization of that, that fencing that has, like this here and, or this, I don't know, rabbits get stuck in it, but anyhow, I've seen a lot of those and all you can really see when you look at them is a post and some beam going across another post and you can't see the water.
It depends on what kind of wire it is,
Huh?
really. It depends on what color and what
Yeah,
kind,
right,
and then it might be
color.
more dangerous for the animal because they
Right.
can't see it either. So she has a point.
But I think it looks good. It has good open visibility, and it's very effective.
Well, and if we're gonna think about the voids, then we're not going to be able to have any woods or any stone fences. So that's gonna have to come out. How do you build a stone fence with voids? That's very difficult.
Yeah, or maybe if it's under 4 feet, can be stone. I don't know.
Well, yeah, there's one,
Up to
or
4
you
feet.
can build stone fences with poles or,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
Oh, they
stone
do have
pillars.
that.
Stone pillar.
They do have a stone pillar with
Yeah.
the.
yeah, right on
The open.
Ellsworth here, that one there, and then there's one going over to your place.
Yeah,
On that one lot that, before you go up on the hill, that they have those stone pillars with the. I think
Slats.
two.
I think the
lots of-
Heckendorf has it too, up that hill. If you walk up the hill, I think on the right, there's
Yeah,
a stone with the wood.
Well, I kind of like as a guideline, I kind of like the 50%.
If you're gonna go with a void, I'd say go with a very small one to begin with. But we also have to think that we're essentially going to be preventing people from building a stone wall, which is
we-
historic here. A lot of people have them.
Aren't they retaining walls mostly? Or I've seen them. Well,
Some of them,
If they're under
Retaining
4
walls,
feet,
but-
they don't bother the animals typically. But
Yeah,
if they
but we
wanna
don't have
go
like
over
we
4
don't have like
feet,
a
then you-
stone, we don't have stone walls, do we?
Yeah,
it
we-
seems like lots of stone retaining walls, but I don't know
Well-
if there's actually like a stone fence
there are, especially along Grand Avenue when you go around the lake.
on the south side.
No,
No, this.
Oh, that way.
Yeah, so when is a stone fence, not a stone wall?
I don't know, when it's not attached to anything else.
Just to your point, it's pretty hard to put gaps in a stone wall.
Mhm. No, it is. It's totally.
unless you, put posts in between pillars.
But then that's a hybrid. So essentially our code says it can be wood, native or imitation stone. So in that case, it would have to be a combination of stone and wood if we're going to enforce the void.
I don't know if I like the idea of wood or stone fences. I mean, that just seems very cold.
Might as well use block.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
what I can picture, for stone fences along Grand, for instance, is like the planter bed across from Roderick's new corner. But it's a planter bed. It's a wall, but it's only like, I don't know, like that tall, but it's holding back the soil where he's got all his trees. So it's looks like a fence, but it's actually a retaining wall. And then all the people that want to put up retaining walls on like Park Avenue or Mountain Avenue on the west side of Garfield, that's also got like retaining walls in their front yards and stuff so they can park, right? So they have these huge rocks, which is like a stone fence, but it's a retaining wall. So I'm trying to think of just a
Well,
regular
It kind of begs the
fence.
question to me, if it's only 4 feet high, do you need the gap at all?
Well, if we're gonna enforce the gap, it needs to be uniform.
Right, but you know what I'm
Like-
saying, if the thing's only this high,
Mhm.
do you still need to be able to see through it?
If it's
You can
over
see
4
over it.
feet,
Because you see over it.
Well,
if
then
it's
maybe
over
you-
4 feet, that's a solid to void ratio.
Yeah.
If
Maybe
it's
that-
under 4 feet, it's fine, as long as it's wood, native, imitation,
Yeah,
harmonious.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
But if it's over 4 feet, then it has to have a solid to void of 50%. I feel like that's.
Well, that's like
more
one
simple.
of the guidelines you could put into it. If it's over 6 feet, it gets reviewed by planning commission, and here's some of the requirements. That have a solid to void ratio of,
Over 4.
and maybe only a portion of it, you know.
Yeah,
be
like anything
6
over
feet.
4 feet, like you can have a stone to this, but then you have slats of wood
Right.
above it. If you.
And maybe
needed-
it's then maybe you are limited on how much can be 6 feet.
Mhm.
So that somebody can't just come in and say, well, I want 6 feet, that's why I want it. We don't have anything that says you can't, so makes it hard to deny it.
Well, this has been fun.
All right,
What's the consensus? I'll write something up. I'll write a couple things up and we can choose.
Right? I
Next
think-
time,
I
go
think
over
What
it.
we're saying, as long as it's under 4 feet.
They
you
can
don't-
do what they want.
Yep.
And if it's over 4 feet, we gotta talk to you and it's gotta have a different solid to void ratio.
Right. Yeah.
Above the 4 feet.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
well,
makes
we'll work
sense.
on it.
Makes it easier, but has some regulation in it.
And it
Well, I
kind of
think-
fixes some of the stuff, which is like animals can't get over it
right. And
and.
I still think we should add language into it, as, you know, the purpose is to still discourage fencing, but if you are, here's the regulations, so that people maybe think twice about it versus just slapping up a fence.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Well, that's fine.
Okay, we
That's item.
still need to deal with Michael's absence.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm
he
guessing
never
he's
wrote.
not showing up.
Yep, definitely not.
Well, before we go on to, and we will do that before we adjourn, and before we go on to commissioners' review. Did you have something you wanted to address for planning commission or?
Yeah, oh, thank you. Sorry. I'm really enjoyed this. You mentioned it and it sounds like we may have covered it. I'm sorry I was late. The 2/3, the consolidation of,
Oh.
213, 17.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we did. We already have voted on that and recommended approval.
so we reckon- Okay,
Yeah.
Which I'm in support of. I'm one of the neighbors that has lots, 7 and 8. And I wrote, are you, Kim?
Yep.
Hi, I'm Tony.
Hi,
I wrote
Tony.
you always said.
Mhm.
I wrote you back. I don't know if you got it.
Oh, maybe I did, yeah, thank you so much for writing that.
I did, yeah.
So,
I basically said that the access is not something that would be discussed at the meeting because there's nothing on the property that's being accessed currently. There's not like an existing anything.
okay,
So nothing was changed. And so access is discussed at the time of building permit. So when he submits everything for that, and that if you wanted me to share your information with him, so you guys can chat about,
yeah,
then I can do that.
we're new to the, we've owned the land for a year, but we can't get to it because it's on, one of you mentioned, our lot frontage would probably face north to Grand Avenue, but, there's like a gravel road, but it's coned off, and we're getting the neighbors to. The realtor, when we met initially, was like, well, the town will maintain the road if you build it, but they're not gonna build the road, so you guys are gonna have to figure out how to build the road. So I'm just trying to navigate. get
That's
the
not
people to
true
understand
either.
that part.
That part's not even true.
not true.
fully.
That's also I'm trying to figure out.
No, and it's coned off because one of the neighbors maintains that house, that one house that's there. And he's trying to keep people out, but you can move the cones. That's a public right of way, so you're allowed up there.
Feel bad, yeah, because and I'm happy to meet him or her, and I was like, I don't wanna I'm sure that makes sense, because they probably just don't want people like taking a Jeep up there and like. oh,
Well,
get
and-
through.
And also Marv P. Meyer's house used to be up there, and I think he's trying
Oh.
to keep looky-loos out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Marky
but
Mark.
his
Got
name, yeah, his name is Bob Adams,
Okay.
and he helps maintain that one house you can access on Grand Avenue, and he's the one who puts those up.
Okay.
Just to keep people out, but I live right near there,
Oh,
so I'm
cool.
your neighbor.
Okay.
And we walk up there all the time. He doesn't have a problem if he knows who you are, so.
I'd
Yeah.
love to connect with you afterwards and
Okay.
get to meet him. Yeah, because we, when we spoke and looked at the land, and I mean, I have visuals here, but like you guys probably know the plats. Like, we're on the very end, like 200 and 204, and those lots you voted to consolidate are here. And we're fine with that. We're just like, oh, well, I think this is the strikers own these three, and we're like, well, if people want to get up, like, how do we collaborate? And see, you know, and then from your team, like, understanding is the road need to be 14 feet wide, 28 feet wide?
Yeah, we can schedule a meeting and we can talk about it next week or this week. if you-
Sure, I'd love that.
Yeah, just send me another email with the
Okay.
time that works for you. I left you a voicemail too.
Okay.
And I sent you an email, so
Thank
I'm
you
sorry
so
if you
much.
haven't gotten them.
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
I didn't check, I drove up, and I didn't check, I was
Oh, cool.
trying not to be on my phone. while I
Oh,
was-
you know, that's safe. That's
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah.
You
so-
choose life first, that's good.
But I really appreciate it. I'm
Yeah.
excited to be here. We just, unlike your Airbnb example, we just go like, oh, we'd like to build a house in, you know, from here around a small town and we go to eventually.
That'd be nice, yeah.
I'm not sure what kind of house these folks want to build that are combining the lots, but we're okay with it. We just, like, if you want to access it. We'd be
Let's
happy
work
going off
together.
road.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for.
Yeah, you're welcome to obviously stay. We're just gonna finish the end of it.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
The fence debate is, has a lot of, I get the weight solid ratio. I was looking at this roll up door over here, I'm like, well, they used 1 inch. It's really hard to see. through. So, you know, all your points are very good.
When are you gonna move to the town permanently?
I really, exactly, that's
Right.
why I.
Yeah,
like,
we
it's
need-
Really fun to be part of it.
We need another
We
have a
commissioner.
We need
Vacancy.
a vacancy.
Vacancy, good. Yeah, hopefully, as soon as we can, that's, and unfortunately, I don't know, we've never looked at the schools up here, I've got 2 kids.
Hmm.
Never really considered it, but we have a friend that moved up to Grand Lake permanently.
We like it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why we're.
That's why we live
Hey,
here.
most people do like it.
Yeah. Well, and I love the concern for the wildlife, and that makes a lot of sense, like, you don't want it to be super. My opinion was solicited, obviously, but like, you know, with a bunch of fences that are, you know, that you see in Denver or wherever, where you.
Well,
So the future?
yeah, future agenda
So
items, so we
agenda
are,
items is just the next week or the week after, whichever you prefer. I'm just gonna go over that 2020 comprehensive plan action items. I wrote them all out on page 31 through 33. This is all in the back of the comprehensive plan that you all should have a copy of, given multiple copies to each of you.
never read it.
If you've lost it, I don't know. It's also online. I can send you a link if you prefer. But I just put it out on this little spreadsheet and I made kind of little notes. Basically, like the letter I next to it is just I need more information from you. I need more direction from you guys on what you think what you think needs to be done or the action that needs to happen, like more detail than what it says. Like the second one, update Article 9 of Chapter 12, the town's land use regulations to clarify and enhance land dedication requirements for open space. That's fine and dandy. It is in English, but what do you want me to clarify and enhance kind of thing? Like, I just want you to kind of look at the things that have eyes and be like, here's more information. This is what we think it means or what we think we should do. No.
X means done and
X means I think we did it. We at
What's-
least went over it. If it's not how you wanted it done, then we'll go back and we can revisit it, but it
What's
was
W?
visited.
Working
P,
on it currently.
P is partnership is required. Basically, I just need help with someone else. Like, for instance, the first one is like town's fire mitigation. Recommendations, Grand Lake Fire Protection District to increase defensible space. I need to work with the fire department on that. That's basically P is partnership. And then W is working on it currently, like developing a cross-country ski trail on Grand Lake. It's my understanding that Public Works has a snowmobile and they're gonna track a loop on this end. Not
Hmm.
like obviously across the frozen, the not frozen water part. It won't be all the way around Grand Lake, but it'll just be like a little loop near the shore.
Hmm. Oh.
So they're gonna do that. So the W's are Public Works or someone is working on it currently, or it's being done this year, or it's in the process. So
On that track, you might want to check the liabilities involved in inviting people onto the ice.
oh, come on.
that's like with the ice skating.
Yeah.
No, and
lame.
that's still very,
Yep.
very, very iffy.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just like if people go ice fishing too, you know, that.
Yeah, we have tournaments. We
Yeah,
invite
we have
people
ice
up there.
fishing tournaments, we have ice hockey tournaments,
Mhm.
we have, yeah, I understand.
It's all liability.
So, anyway, that's what W's are. I didn't mark on all of
Pardon me?
these.
Governmental immunity, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's why. I didn't mark a label next to all of them just because I wasn't really sure that any of them, some of them didn't meet categories, like, the view shed protection, I don't. That's
you
a
want-
lot.
So you want us just to review this
just kinda want
over
you
the
to
next couple
review it.
weeks and come back for the next meeting prepared to talk about it?
Yes, that would be
Okay.
great. If you could look at the eyes and give me more information and,
So are
and then
these-
any of the other ones you really want me to do or, you know, really focus on.
So are each of these things identified, described
Mm-hmm.
in the comp plan?
Yes,
Okay, so
In
if
more
I look
detail.
at this and have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
I can go in,
then you'd be just like me.
okay.
No, But,
Well,
yeah,
some of this stuff is in the comp plan, but it may be like Kim was saying, you know, clarify and enhance land dedication requirements for open space. Well, it doesn't talk about that anywhere in the master plan, so I don't know what the thought was that somebody had when they
Yeah.
wrote that, because there's no additional,
there's like in the
language
pages
to-
before that, under a natural environment, like the last 2 pages of the book have these just listed like this. Just listed. And if you go back a few pages, they have like the theme natural environment on one page, and it's a little bit more detailed across 2 pages. It has like a natural environment and it only has a natural environment. It's a spread across 2 pages. So if you associate this is kind of the quick list and it's a little more expanded earlier in the book. So that's the only other direction I have with.
And then how does this overlap or not with the Mundus Bishop stuff?
It does not overlap with Mundus Bishop.
Okay.
No. This is completely different. This is our comp plan that we have to have done every 10 years, and I'm supposed to pretty much check off or try to check off all of these items by 2030 and have all of these things kind of done. And so I'm trying to work on them to slowly knock them all off the list. Mundus Bishop was just the master plan for public or for our municipal lands that we own. And it was just sort of just another plan that we could figure out. And I have reached out to them for the last 3 months and I've called their office, so I am waiting for a call back. Hopefully this week. Probably next month. But yeah, so they were almost done. They needed the traffic study from JVA, from Mary Drive, and I finally got the traffic study back from JVA in October and I mailed it to them. They said they were just gonna add it as an appendix and then they would be done with our master plan. Mundus Bishop would be done with their master plan and then they would give it to us. And I have not heard anything since I gave it to her. So the person that originally started working on it no longer works for the company. And so that kind of delayed everything. And then the head principal took over the project and I'm sure that she's busy because she's the head principal and she doesn't do all these little projects. She has people that do them for her. So yeah, we're just kind of waiting. There you go. That's the
Okay.
update. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Excellent. Any other questions for Kim? Not.
Oh, wait,
Mm.
Mike Soban.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So what are we doing with Mike?
He didn't call in or
So I assume at
email
the,
or.
I assume it's just an unexcused absence?
Yep.
Okay,
So you don't vote on it.
right.
There you go.
So, I mean, we do have the Christmas party, right? Friday, where is it again?
Charlie's?
Charlie's. That's right. Make sure I show up. I figure if I go to enough restaurants.
Yeah.
Find it.
Well, there's only two. in Rose's house, so-
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think
And
food
then
at 7.
food at 7.
Yeah.
It has lost its luster. It certainly is not what it used to be.
Ponchos?
What's that?
What?
No, the Christmas party.
Christmas party.
It used to be a dress-up affair with not tuxes, but close. It was
COVID.
It was
We were
kind of a nice
fancy.
event.
COVID.
We were pretty fancy back
It
in the
was
day.
actually it was actually an event for the immediate volunteers and the staff. And that's all that were invited, and that was a sit-down dinner. To start with.
So you're saying it's not that formal anymore?
No,
Mm-mm.
No.
it's, Charlie's is not a formal place.
No.
All right, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
I,
2023 is done.
Okay.
Look at
We're not
that.
having the 20th. Really? No third
is on.
Like 14 and 3.
Good, you do.
3 and 14.
It would be the second Wednesday of the month of January.
The 17th.
Third, I'm sorry, you're right, you're right.
17th is the third.
Yeah, and we'll be hearing about rapids. That's good to go.
Oh, that'll be a second.